Okay. All right. So hopefully you can hear me. We're going to work on a sequence that's good for unwinding the low back and the hips. So we're just going to start in a kneeling position. So a couple of yoga mats underneath the knees or gardening pad is suitable. Then we're going to take the left foot off to the side. And then just watch that the angle of your foot is coming out at the same angle as your knee. Sometimes we can tend to be really externally rotated, which will bring some pinching into the posterior hip capsule. So just sort of following a nice angle at about 45 degrees. And then we're going to keep pushing down into our standing knee. So I've got my right knee down and I'm pushing down into my standing foot. So that's with a press of the top of that foot straight down into the mat, or a tuck of the toe curled under. And then just squeezing the glute should give you straight away a bit of stretch through this right side here. If you want to add a little bit more, we'll reach the right arm up and then lean into the waist. Now, just be careful with this movement that the knee doesn't drift forward. So we want to keep pushing straight down into the heel to prevent that from happening. And we want to also make sure that the hip doesn't pop out to the side. So if you just maintain, again, that downward pressure in your standing knee, an active glute in your right side, that should prevent that from happening. Really breathe deeply here. Notice that at the top of the inhale, you can expand that sense of stretch a little bit more. Let's try that holding the breath in. So breathe in deeply, retain the breath, and exhale, release. Now let's work on the opposite side. So we'll just take a bit of pressure off this knee that we've been kneeling on. So you come down onto all fours and then simply just take that right knee or whichever knee you've been kneeling on, take it back, curling the toes under before you change to the other side. So then we'll kneel on the left knee. And I've got my right foot coming off at about 45. I'm going to keep pushing straight down into my left leg. So my standing leg has this sensation like I'm trying to straighten it out. So I'm pushing the leg straight, but the ground is stopping it. Now, if the toes are curled under, that might help if you're a little bit tighter through your calf muscles. Or again, you can just press into the top of the foot. Spread the toes on that opposite side. I'm pushing straight down into my right heel to prevent any drift off to the right. And then left arm can reach up and over, and I'll just lean into the waist. Try not to let the hip pop out to the side. So sometimes a subtle sense that your grounded knee is wanting to drift away will help to bring your hip back into alignment. Again, remind that left leg to straighten. You're pushing into either the top of the foot or the big toe. Glutes switched on. Breathe in deeply. Now work on holding the breath in. So inhale and retain the breath. Exhale, let it go. And then we'll come off This left knee, decompressing it by taking the foot straight back. And then we'll bring both knees in, curl under through your toes, and just ensure that your toes, your heels, and your knees are directly in line. So if you start with about a space of 1 knee between your kneecaps, that's a pretty good gap for most people. Make sure the heels are not rolling out to the side. So point them up. If you imagine that you're trying to roll the heels in ever so slightly, that's helpful. And as I drop my hips back towards the knees, I'm still pushing straight down into the leg, still feeling like I'm trying to straighten the leg out. And if the knees are a little bit dodgy, I'll stop and then come forward. Again, just gently pushing back, feeling like my heels are rolling in towards each other slightly, but they're actually pointing straight up. And just rocking forward and back here into the knees. Just stopping at whatever the knees range is. And then if you're able to go a little bit deeper here by pushing the top of the feet down, keep that downward pressure happening as you start to drop your hips towards your heels. And then if the hips do reach the heels, you can come down to stack the fists one on top of the other. Breathe nice and deeply. Just create a bit of PNF behind those knees there. So squeezing your knees like you've got something behind them, like you're trying to crack an egg with your knees, to switch those muscles on and then let them soften. Take a nice deep breath here, opening up through the low back. Imagine that the breath is received into the back. Wonderful. Now we'll come back up onto all fours and make our way down onto the mat. So try coming just to your forearms first, then pushing away with the forearms. You can walk the hips down. And then once the hips are down, you can bring the head down. And then just start to bring the left heel in towards the bottom. And if you can look back, just try to see where your legs sit. Sometimes when we do this movement, we can bring the foot out to the side a little bit, which twists the knee. So make sure when you bring your heel in towards your bottom, that the foot's not out doing something awkward. And then change to the opposite side, just look back, eyeball your knee. Sometimes if we're tight through one side, we'll kick the knee out to the side to compensate. So having a block between, a yoga block between your knees is helpful for this movement if you've got one handy. If you're doing this one at home and you're unsupervised, then just start to walk the feet, just tapping gently with the top of the feet. And as you do this movement, you want to breathe deeply. Imagine like your lower belly can smile, the belly button can smile as you do this movement. I'd also like you to think about how much weight you're tapping each foot with. Sometimes if we have a leg length discrepancy or some rotation through the spine or neurological issues, you'll find that one foot might tend to bang down without much control and the other foot might not even touch, okay? So just making sure that the top of both feet or the toes, if you've got limited mobility in your ankles, make sure the toes are touching. And then just let that relax. Give the hips a little bit of a shake from side to side, check if the jelly's set, and then let that relax. And then next we're going to lift up the chest, then sort of look straight down so that we're long through the back of the neck. And then if your chest and shoulders allow you, take the hands, the palms so that they face forward and the elbows in just a little bit closer. Then I'm going to draw open through the collarbones. Again, look sort of down towards that line of the thumb so that the back of the neck isn't at a really acute angle folding. It's at a nice open harbour bridge style curve. Breathing deeply, jaw is unlocked. If there's a lot of pinching and pressure in the lower back, then you're up too high. And what you can do is just slide your arms a little bit further forward to reduce that, to reduce the height of that curve. All right, so let's all gently come down from this position, elbows out to the side, rest the forehead down, relax the glutes. Again, you can wobble the hips from side to side slightly. And then let that relax. Then what I'd like you to think about is your left glute. Send your mind there. Breathe in. Exhale. And then squeeze that left glute to lift the left foot off the ground. So the knee stays nice and straight. And then we'll relax it down. Now send all of your mind into your right glute. Nothing is squeezed on as yet. You're just sending your mind's eye into your right glute. Then breathe in. Then breathe out. And at the end of that exhale, lift the right foot up off the mat. Squeezing your glute. Knee is straight. And then relax down. Now we'll lift the head a little bit this time. Breathe in. Exhale. Left glute on, left leg lifts, knee is straight. Exhale, head down, leg down. Glutes are relaxed. And then we'll lift the head, breathe in. Exhale. Right glute on, lift up. And lower down. Doing one more round here. Head lifting up, breathe in. Exhale. Left glute lifts the left leg, keeping the knee straight. And relax everything down. And lifting the head, all your mind into your right glute. Lift at the end of the exhale. And relax down. Good. Again, check if the jelly's up. Wiggle the hips a little bit from side to side. And then we're going to roll over onto the back. So I'm going to reach my right arm straight ahead, my left hand next to the chest, and I can use my arm to lever myself onto my side. And then I can roll from here, neatly onto the back. And then I'm going to step both of my feet wider than my hips. So I'm on a yoga mat, and I know if I step my feet just wider than the mat, that my legs are in the right position. The arms can come behind the head if your shoulders allow, and then just let both knees spill off to one side. So slowly, feet don't change position, just spilling both knees off to the same side. And then slowly moving to the opposite side. So when you practice every day, you'll find that your knees will drop quite low. If it's been a little while since you've practiced anything, then you might find that your knees don't really drop down too far. That's fine, don't push. Just stop at whatever that natural barrier is. Sometimes you can practice all the stretches and the yoga in the world and it won't change your anatomy. So if the angle of your hips are different, then there's no point trying to push the knees open if you've reached that bony block. Okay, women generally have a bigger Q angle at the hips where their knees are allowed to sort of move out and be a little bit more mobile. And just even yourself out there. Then coming back to center, bring both feet back in underneath the knees. Again, we want to feel that the feet are straight ahead. You can bring your arms down by your side. And then just push down straight into the heels to lift the hips a little bit. You don't lift up into a big back bend. In fact, we want to tuck the tailbone under, curling the pubic bone in towards the belly button. And then maintain that straight downward pressure into your heels. And then if it's available to you, you can switch on your glutes, lift the heels a little bit more. And then maintain that forward momentum into the top of the feet as you rest the hips back down. Then relax the arms down by your side. You might find it better for your back to keep the feet under the knees. Otherwise, straighten out through your legs into Shavasana, just allowing the hips to roll open at their natural angle and the body to rest in its anatomical position. Breathe in and